name is Bassel. For the people who doesn't know me, I'm represent Eccentric. Eccentric is one of the top distinguished Google Cloud partners in Qatar. The purpose of this discussion, first of all, is of course to welcome you all. Thank you so much for coming over. And to deep dive more into very interesting tool. So first, I want to share strong findings from Gartner saying that by 2025, there are 80% of the organization will be adopting a full life cycle API management, integration, and security tool or process within their organization. And that grew from 30% in 2020. So a huge, let me say, growth within the API integration or the life cycle will be happening in the coming 2 years from now, but it really started 3 years before. So API management is not only about integrating or securing application. The way we are presenting it is about creating a full life cycle of creating, adopting, securing, integration, govern your API within the organization. This is the deep dive which we're gonna present or which we're gonna integrate or support within. So today we will go with a real live use cases from Google team, from our partner APJ, from our subject matter expert to demonstrate more the importance of API management within the organization or how the total life cycle of the API can really impact and support the digital transformation in each and every organization. So part of the innovation or part of the mission of Eccentric for you to know is innovation. That's the main message of Eccentric. So Eccentric, we pick API management because we believe today, we believe API management or API integration is a cornerstone in the digital transformation strategy of each and every organization in the coming few years. With the importance of integration, with the importance of automating the process of integration, there is a need for API management. So if the innovation of Eccentric within this is to leverage the power of the product, the power of expertise, the power of the localization, the power of the technical capabilities to the market. That's the core message which we are implementing or which we are providing. Very high level of Eccentric do for people who doesn't know us or who doesn't know that's the core message which we do. Eccentric is a data-focused organization. We focus on digital transformation from a data aspect, everything related to data management, analytics, AI, ML, integration, API, security related to data management. This is what we do. So we are not a conventional system integrator. We're not only focusing on areas related to infrastructure. No, we are focusing on areas related to cloud, AL, and artificial intelligence, analytics, consumer boundaries, cybersecurity related to the data. So API is a very important cornerstone of what we do. And this is the reason why we thought, it's important to present it today. To give you a little bit more about the ecosystem of Eccentric, so each and every product or vendor which we work with is to support, we picked it to support the messaging or to support the innovation which we are going on. So from Google Cloud, Informatica, from data management, for data governance, to SaaS from analytics perspective, to RPA from robotics or robotics automation, Droid for chatbot, cybersecurity, Palo Alto, force ones, all those products are for the data management aspect which we are doing. So today I'm gonna touch base a little bit on the high level of the agenda. So today we have Google team, we have Bing, and we have Accenture. And Google, Bashar, and Ayman, who are the specialized and the leaders of RPG in the Gulf, they will be sharing with us more deep dive on the high level messaging or high level value of RPG or API integration life cycle, the security part of the RPG as well. While I think we thought to such a critical digital transformation tool like RPG, we cannot do it without having a very strong expertise in implementing it or in delivering it, on doing state-of-the-art services. So most of you are working for a very critical organization, and your application are very valuable. Your application is state-of-the-art, very sensitive. So if that's not being handled in a proper way, it will be a challenge or a risk for each and every organization. So we decided to partner with Appiting. Appiting is one of the top leaders or capable organization in RPG deployment, with more than 3,000 use cases or 3,000 customer implementation over the past years. This is the only thing which we do. So this collaboration between Accenture, Google Cloud, Appiting in the local market is giving very strong commitment, very strong localized flavor, very strong deployment and service capabilities for the Qatari market. That's the commitment, and that's aligned with the innovation direction or strategy which we are planning or which we are intending to deliver to the market. So from Appiting, Wenat, who is the expert in RPG security architect or integration architect, he's also going to share with us some of his stories or some of his, some of the capabilities or the design or the security aspect of RPG. So to complement the story, we decided to do that thing as well to launch a Qatar or Middle East community. Focus mainly on API integration and API security methodology. And the main value of doing that for the Qatari market is expertise sharing, is exchanging information, is making sure that people are taking the advantage of, for example, asking questions, overcoming challenges. So it's a very valuable initiative which we are launching into the Qatari market along with everything in the coming period of time. Then Accenture will be also contributing in demonstrating how we can AI add value to the API integration, or how it can accelerate, or how it can assure it's getting optimized in a proper way. That way, Janani is our solution architect, is going to demonstrate about it. So thank you again for coming. This is very valuable for us to have you in here. I really appreciate having you. I hope you will enjoy and get advantage from the information which you will get from the subject matter expert, either in Google Cloud or in Appiting or in Accenture.
Everyone, and thank you very much for taking the time to come to the session today. I really hope to be able to share some of the insights that we've given with numerous customers that we've dealt with across the years in terms of integration, security, some of the things that we actually see happening in the industry today. And that will be some of the takeaways that you have from the session that we can assist you with. Just a quick scan to vote. If you guys don't mind, just get some insights into what's happening in your organizations. Do you have anything that's going on specifically? Next one. And are you currently working on an API integration strategy? And I think pretty much everyone should kind of be saying yes to this question right now, because as we've seen from the previous slides, it's quite a big buzz in the industry right now. APIs are taking off, integrations are a big part of that as well. The next one is, how many APIs does your organization have? And this is actually an interesting question. We get this a lot of times from organizations saying, well, how many APIs should we have as an organization ourselves? What should we be doing? Should we have 10? Should we have 50? And we've got some thoughts around that as well we could possibly share with some of you after the session. And then lastly, this is a bit of a premature question, but just in case you're interested in understanding a little bit more about API management, API security, integration, would you like to possibly have a one-on-one session with us for that as well? That's just to sort of see. We'll leave that there for a minute or two. Okay, good. Let's have a look at our leaderboard. Okay, 4 responses. Excellent. Just scroll that down slightly, please. There we go. How many APIs does your organization have? All right, so let's go possibly to that one. 1,000 plus. Wow, okay, that's quite a significant number of APIs. I'm assuming microservices and things like that as well, but absolutely interesting to understand that. And then the last question there, not as relevant, but also interesting. Okay, yes, people are working on APIs, that's great. All right, I think we're good. This is moving me down the line. We just get onto the slides. Okay, so this is basically just my presentations to set context to the rest of the presentations to follow. To give you some insights into what things is happening within the industry, things we've seen. And what I want to touch on is similar to Bashar's initial slide, talking about different eras that's been happening. But essentially what we've seen over time is that in the beginning, we always had these monolithic systems. This is close to the time of the dinosaurs, where we saw these massive banking systems and industry-specific systems that had the front end, they had the integration layer, they had the back ends. And these were also sitting in this monolith. And it became increasingly challenging to connect this IT landscape. We wanted to share data between different applications, but we didn't have the ability to do that at some point in time. What we then figured out is that we've got all these different integration tools. Back in the day, most of the technology was considered on-prem. We didn't have anything in the cloud. Cloud wasn't even a thought at that point in time. And we had these tools that we started to orchestrate with the information. So we had these different integrations. We had to manage some of this complexity. And we had that available to us in means of different times. As we evolved forward, we then started saying, well, people realizing, you have data, I have data. Well, how do we use this data as a specific asset that we can capitalize on, monetize the data, and try and find a way that we can expose this data to consumer people actually wanting to use this data for whatever purposes. And that's kind of where we sort of touching on at the moment. Everybody's looking at exposing data, their APIs and products. You want to be able to monetize those, create sales channels, new business channels, and expose it. What we're seeing in one of the presentations to follow as well next one is specifically around AI-enabled integrations. Now, I'm not talking about saying, hey, Google, create that integration for you, because that would be kind of, but essentially having the means and having the language models in place to actually create these integrations from chatbots or from some kind of AI integration to seamlessly do all of the, I would say, mundane tasks which we normally have to do as a specialist. So all of the really basic things that we can expect it to do, it will be able to do us using AI. And this is really what we're going to see happening in the future. This is going to be explosive as the Charles Manning. And you're going to see a huge increase in terms of way integration that APIs offer. Why is integration important? Everybody is saying, well, what is integration? Why do I need to be focusing on integration as a practice? There's been numerous different independent research done across different industries, across different regions. And the message is generally the same. Faster deployment and delivery speed. The better your systems are integrated, the less hassle you have trying to get access to that data. The easier it is to expose it to your services. Faster time to market as an organization. In a very competitive landscape these days, organizations are constantly fighting for market share. If you are the fastest time to market, you will gain more market share the first time. Reduce maintenance efforts and costs. And that's quite simply because you now have platforms that actually allow you to manage this integration well. You have less hassle with maintaining the efforts around both the operation that go around specific plan integrations. So we can share some more information around different kinds of research patterns. So how do we see integration? Who are the key players and what are the key components of integration? And this is a slide that we've used quite a few times across, I'd say, the last 2 years or so. This picture you see here is originally developed by a bank in the Netherlands. They're quite a global player in the banking industry. And they've created what we call the digital integration and access layer, the dial architecture. Now, quite simply, it's used just to explain to certain stakeholders who or what the different capabilities or components are that we're going to be covering in the next couple of minutes. So firstly, this is a framework of grouping and bundling the latest initiative developments under one of the architecture. On the left, as you know, you have your providers. This could be your backend source system, your system of record. This could be your cloud service, on-prem service, this could be microservices, data store. So think of anything that you possibly would want to expose to your various consumers. And what we have here is 4, 5, and 6. This is really sort of the key focus of what we will be talking about specifically. Dialogue-based integration is your standard synchronous-based API. Message, you'll see message place order, in order. That kind of interaction is dialogue-based integration. Event-based integrations are a little bit more complicated. We require additional infrastructure to have this work, So an event is changed by address. And that in the back, you can send me a verification saying, yes, you have changed your address, thank you very much. But there's a series of processes that follow that, events that are kicked off because I've changed my address. Perhaps insurance companies are notified to say this person has changed the address, the insurance policy is and there are potentially other events that be sending email, things. And we'll be covering that quite a bit more in the session. And then file-based integration. A little bit older in terms of technique capability, but here we're talking about anything that's raw file storage. So we're talking about ETL, we're talking about XML file, we're talking about all kinds of integration there related specifically to file-based integration. Now, the interesting thing to mention here is, which don't forget the consumers, they could be any one of these things. Back in the day, you had one sort of line of consumers, someone sitting at the terminal, someone sitting at some point of sale or user interface developed specifically for that purpose. Now you have mobile applications. You have smart robot applications. You've got IoT devices. You've got anything that is going to be a consumer of this data. So think about all of these new different kinds of changes. IoT, part of web chat. The interesting thing to mention first, before I get to the next slide, is specifically the lower down this line we go. So if you talk about data, we talk about really innovative, really fast interactions, very, very responsive. Event-based, this takes more time, this takes more effort, this is more complex. And then lastly, file-based being the absolute slowest means of integration when we're talking about these kind of integration strategies. I'm going to leave us up there for a second. Any questions regarding what's on the screen? Yeah, excellent. I'm not going to go into these details, but these are just essentially talking about exactly what I said. These are the different players and consumer producers. One thing to mention, sorry, just go back once. The very top one, I'm surprised no one asked about portfolio and business glossary. This is the key aspect. we're talking here specifically around governance. What are the governance tools that we need in order to understand what data we're exposed to? What APIs do I have? How many APIs do I have? What kind of sensitive data am I exposed to? That is a key component to make this entire function good for an API integration strategy. Okay, portfolio. Then we've got data-based, event-based, file-based. Okay, so now this is great when you understand who the players are, you understand who the consumers are, who the producers are. But how do we as an organization, I'm sure all of you had this question, how do we choose the correct integration path? There's so many different packages, file-based, event-based, dialogue-based. How do we choose the exact correct pattern that we're going to follow, all patterns, for our integration strategy? And down the line, be sure that this was suitable for our program. And we've seen so many organizations come to a ground halt with their API integration strategy, specifically because they're not able to confidently make that decision. So how do we do this? This was the challenge that we see with organizations across this. And essentially, it is look at what the challenge is. It's finding a suiting pattern based on the way it addresses the problem criteria. So we have a use case. We have this use case is doing some specific thing. We know exactly what it is as a business because it's probably one of the core business services or business processes. And we want to be able to find a way that we can address the integration of that specific problem. So let's look at that. All the different types of integration patterns. So let's talk about dialogue-based. Think about that dial slide that I showed before. This is just an expansion of that. Standard pagination, stateless orchestration, stateful orchestration, pre-aggregated resources. These are all standard patterns, industry standard patterns. Event-based, event notification, carry standard. And as you see, we carry on standard patterns. However, how do we choose? We know which one's the correct one. So what we've done is very simply come up with a very simple, let's call it a game, so to speak, where we look at this, and in Netherlands we call it a knikkerbak, which is essentially, imagine you have a point, you drop a point at the top of this box, and these little pins, and the point falls around all the way to the bottom, up to the point where you win a prize. And the prize that we're talking about here specifically is which pattern we're going to be. Now, it's not random, because that's a concern, obviously. But what we want to try and do, if we take that use case, that we plug it into the top of this model. And through a series of qualifying questions, we are able to, at the end of this, and it's not just 3 questions, it's about 10 questions, per each one of these specific different integration patterns, we get to a solution that says, your solution is that pattern. So that is the pattern that's best for this use case. So you can have 50 use cases or 100 use cases. And every time you will put it through this process to decide at the end of the day which pattern would best. Now, what do we see happen? We have customers, and I'll touch on that briefly next slide. We have customers that go really about and they say, oh, GraphQL has just come up. GraphQL is the best thing that we need to change all of our APIs to GraphQL. I want to do an event. Events are great. I love events. And then you start plugging in the use case. And it ends up being a dialogue. So you could save yourself a lot of effort in terms of the integration, complexity, cost, time to market by having a correct integration pattern. That's really important. That's really important. All right. So what have we learned over time? So this is just some insights that we have that I can share with you. Complexity is not always better. We sometimes see organizations who feel that they're willing to make a really complex integration solution because they think it'll be more secure, maybe it'll be a better suit. Again, focus on the challenges that we think about. Understand it, take a use case through that process, understand that it is. Again, organizations jumping on the hype train, wanting to do fancy things. It's not always required, but do what is best for that specific use. Don't reinvent the wheel. And a lot of people say, well, these things are quite obvious, right? Why? But it does happen that so often that we're so close to the challenge, we don't actually sit back and look at this. Anti-patterns, this is quite a concerning one because very often you give an engineer a task, build us a system. An engineer will do a great job. Don't get me wrong, he'll do an absolutely smashing job. But he would over-engineer the solution. So not only does it do integration, he can make a copy of he can do all of these other those special things that is not required. Have the architect build the solution. Have the engineers build the solution. Make sure. And then lastly, these all sort of roll up again into time to market. Quickly you can integrate, you can get to market, you can further. That's really yes. Right, so food for thought. What are the key things that you see within the industry that helps our integration strategy? Have a clear vision. Put it down on paper. Have a strategy. What is your integration strategy? What are we trying to do as an organization? Where do we want to be? Understand what it is that you're trying to. Understand your goals from executive sponsorship. So many times we engage with architects and engineers that have all these great ideas about how do we fast track our integration strategy. How do we get to market? This is how we can do it. And the first obstacle is getting executive buy-in. Having someone from executive level say, this is part of our organization strategy. We need to move forward. This is how we're going to do it. You have the mandate to do it. That's really it. Still want to say future proof. But everybody's saying we're not only integration tomorrow. Because that's the challenge that you solve those days or today's problems. Building integrations for future things. And we're not going to get 5 years. It's already the same integration platform. And then lastly, have a reference architecture. Yeah. Before you start building, how to build that house plan. You have a house, I want a wall there, I don't use blueprints. God, I want a window in that wall. Now I can't put a window there because this is now a support wall for less than Start with that reference. But those are really, really, really. Okay, before we get into security, I'm just going to get a simple word. This is my first time in the Island. It's really beautiful, just very hot. I think it's like 4 degrees back home. So we've spoken about integration pattern, how to choose the best pattern for you as an organization, how to create a strategy around it. But this is essentially one of the key focus areas that I'm interested in talking about specifically. Is what do we see about security? This is an increasingly huge topic that is happening right now in the industry. Everybody's focused on APIs, growth of APIs. But the guys sitting behind his computer, the hackers, they're also seeing data is moving through these APIs. And this is a really easy attack vector for us to manipulate business logic, to do all kinds of different things to get to your data. So what do we see? The traditional security is not as effective, it's ineffective. Isn't as effective as it used to be. Firewalls, API management policies, the 4 ways that we originally had intended to block attackers with brute force. That's no longer as effective. So, we think that our APIs are secure, and chances are they are very well secured, but there may be some things in there that could be potential attack data. What we've seen now is we've seen a lot of tools doing machine learning, large language models, doing AI to identify these really complex threats. So, saying complex threats, the boss would say, all right, what we're going to do is a script injection, or we're going to do a brute force attack on someone's network, DDoS, whatever. The attacks are much smaller. They happen over a longer period of time. You will have some consumer register a legitimate account on your system. They will make legitimate calls. And over time, they will profile business logic in the organization and maybe change an ID or user account that they're setting in the head of the business to the point where they manage to find a vulnerability in the business logic. Once they've done that, how do we detect them? Because they're making legitimate calls. It's very difficult to detect these patterns. So we need these tools to support these kind of behaviors. So brute force attacks, the 403s, unauthorized, those kind of things. Those are things possible. We're more worried about how our API has been 200 per case, the successful request, and these are the low and slow attacks. And that's what we see. I always ask the question, so what is the true cost of exposure for organization? So let's say tomorrow morning you wake up, there's an email in the inbox that says eviction. What is it if you ran, or just your reputation, financial impact? And these are concerns that I'm seeing on organization of starting to realize. Right. So let's see how we take our APIs, our integration landscape, how do we actually go about it? First of all, is API management check. We need a single source, a single place where all of our APIs are funneled through that we can monitor, but it's secure, that we can identify who the consumers are, what they're doing. We have our firewalls in place. Everybody here should have some kind of reputation firewall. These have standard metrics to measure or to try to identify certain attacks. Someone tries to do SQL injection, firewalls going to go come to the region that's not wrong. There are ways identity access management. From here we're talking more about authorization. So there's three things. Identification, who's my consumer? Authorization, what am I allowed to do? And authentication, who am I? All those two switches. So I would identify myself as a key. I would then create a token using my credentials. So I would say, this is me, that's my password, give me a token, and that token will contain the scope of what I'm allowed to do as an authorized user of this. That's really what we're talking about, identity management. And then software testing, the whole concept of ship and if you guys are familiar with that, where we move a lot of this testing back into the development to ensure that products are created in a way that they're secure and they move forward. There's another concept called ship down, I believe it is. Sure, I'll be able to tell you that. We're looking at the platform for AI that should do a lot of good. Okay. Very briefly, just going into unmanaged APIs. Very often we see organizations say, how many APIs do you have? Someone says 1,000. I would argue you probably have 50% more APIs. It's just a list. But generally, there are more APIs that are managed by your API management platform. There's some division, trying to create some servers, they're exposing it somewhere, they're doing something with it, they're doing all kinds of different things. You may not know of these APIs. It's very difficult to keep track of where these APIs are. Are they secure? Where are they? What are they doing? Who are the consumers? What data is it exposing? We have no insight into that. That is what we call fundamentals. Improve on that? Yes. Isn't it? Your gateway in place. We're not talking about API management yet, just a gateway. We have a gateway, we expose it, we secure it, we do some basic things, we authenticate it, that's all. This is great. This is a step forward in terms of ensuring that's next one, right now we sort of evolved in looking at API management. We have a single platform. Now we have analytics, we have monitoring, and we can discover challenges that we can't discover in APIs. This validation check that may or may not be able to do. So we need to be able to check certain things with regards to analytics. Web application firewall. Someone will say, well, I have a web application firewall. I have an API gateway. I can't make that. But yeah, you've got standard attack that you can recognize. If it is a non-standard attack on the business logic, that probably will not be protected. Legitimate or seal. And then obviously identify user, what is it about to do? This is all got to do with testing of the ensuring that your business logic is solid before you explore those instances. What does it look like to have good API security or integration security? Who says? Well, we would already want to have all four of these. Good security platform that supports the identification of these really low and slow. Identity access management should authorizations for the data is a WAF in place. Better software testing. And in the middle there, we'll have API management platform that supports all this. This is really what we're doing in the next minutes. discover all of your APIs, just a couple of sort of insights into how do we improve this, discover your APIs. That's sometimes a challenge of how do we literally organize. There are various ways to do that. Create an API hub or portfolio of APIs, document, ensure that all traffic outside of the API. That's not just allowed, so we have to funnel it there. Correlate activity from API attacks. Prevent client takeover, concentration. These are all sort of standard practices that we have with regards to this. Remediation insight, that's also important. And hopefully later on in Ada's presentation, we'll go through some of these as well. Okay, very quick questions and answers. Anybody with a question? Scanning across? Oh, sure.
So, as an organization, you might be having hundreds of APIs, right? And some of them can be managed through API solution, and some might one notice and get managed. So, how do we discover all these APIs that are being managed?
I think it's a good question because that's something that a lot of organizations struggle with. How do we know what our API landscape looks like? So there are certain tools, especially from API Hub, which is available. And this catalogs essentially all of your APIs for you, shows you what data is being exposed, It gives you some insights into that specific catalog as well, so we can sort of get an idea. Now there's some improvements coming down the line, like auto discovery and that sort of thing, where you will be able to discover APIs on your network. But that's definitely a challenge for governance for as well. It's all touched on when the new APIs are created, from inception to deployment. At what point does the governance cycle kick in for that? Who has access to risk control to expose? It's also a really, really key question. Okay, so what we're going to touch on now very briefly is two things, and this is really sort of highlights where does API management fit, or we're talking specifically about packaging, where does packaging fit in, where does application integration start, where does packaging start, and how do those two sort of coexist to give you sort of end-to-end integration platform for exposing your data to your consumers from whichever backend systems that you have. Right, this is the same slide that Bashar had up earlier as well. I think it's just key to read into it. We've seen an intensely large growth in the number of APIs that are being exposed. It's growing at a rapid rate. There's a lot of concern in terms of government putting out papers. You think about this number increased, but the number of API attacks also increased. That's just sort of vibrant working on there. But yeah, we see intense growth in terms of the number of APIs that are being created. And the question is always, well, how do I manage my API landscape? How do I come to grips with understanding what do I actually have? And this is where Apigee comes in. Apigee is kind of a sort of a one-stop shop. This is what I would say. It's a platform that supports the entire API lifecycle, probably end to end. So if we have an idea or some business consumer or business users, we want to be able to expose customer data, do that to our consumer base. And then when you go to the entire life cycle, then I'll touch briefly on each one of these. But essentially, we're designing the API. So first of all, API first thinking, we want to be able to create that open API specification. Definition of what is the data contract to our consumer. We then use the platform to develop this whole bunch of built-in predefined policies that we can drag, and these policies really support things like API validation. Subjects and all transformation. There's about 50 or so different ones. All kinds of validations, transformations of your request, of payment, and we can manipulate that as well in various different ways. Securing the API. So now I want to be able to say, You're not allowed to open up and call this API unless you have a validate key, validate the token that's generated from that with package as well. We can then publish that API to our consumers, and you can roll it out to different regions, different consumers, in different ways. You can even create later on different tiers of monetization, ways to monetize it. So now I can say, as a consumer, you have a free consumer product, or the productizing your APIs here, and that can give you 100 calls every hour. However, if you had a higher tier, perhaps, of product, maybe it could be unlimited or 10. Think of these regular apps. Usually that's a pretty good example. You can certainly fall before it actually launches. Scaling, this is one of the questions about how does the platform scale? What if I have a billion API hits in a month versus 100,000? How's the platform going to scale all better? Scaling has never been a challenge. I think when it comes to the actual scaling, in my mind, normally it is the back-end services that are able to deliver the amount of data that is required. So you need to put in place certain strategies to ensure that your data and your consumer experience is such a nature that it's responsive, that it's quick, that it is agile, and such as monitoring through my consumers. How are my APIs being used? What's my error rates? What's my performance in terms of the backend consumers or the backends themselves? And we are able to monitor and analyze them, create triggers within the platform. So I can say, if I get too many errors, or if the response time of a certain data exceeds a certain number, then what we should do is send an alert to the IT team, say, please investigate, something's going on. And then lastly, what we see a lot more of is organizations monetizing their data. Want to be able to expose this data to partners, even different tiers, or create revenue sharing models. So it is really open to support the entire API management lifecycle from beginning all the way around to the end. I hope that is quite clear. So just to touch on, I don't want to reiterate too many times, but essentially, any use case, you can think of any kind of organization. You want to expose data source, you want to expose microservices, any kind of use case that you can currently think of is supported with scale, not a problem. Absolutely not. Huge focus on API security, yes. You want to have to make sure that once you expose your API, they are protected. The challenge again, the business logic is very important. You could secure your API as best you can. There's a flaw in the business logic. You are going to have challenges securing that in a proper way. And then for every developer, so really tries to focus from making it specific for the developers to use the platform, expose your products, your data services, and what's higher or cloud products. That's all. So just overview in terms of each one of these. So for developers, the ops, and the app developers, again, multi-cloud, caching, security. I'm not going to go too much into the marketing of the actual slide, but essentially you can see this very important aspect, API catalog, as mentioned. We build out into your APIs. If you have potentially for your developers, you want to be able to create a central place where they can say how you can create a development form. Go there, you can try the APIs, how to use them, you can onboard your consumers there, and then let them API monitoring. Okay, so how do we meet this from a consumer point of view? So what we're seeing is, this isn't very obvious, but you've seen some of the slides. We have our systems of record. And what we're seeing traditionally is systems of record change on a database, or a weekly base, even monthly database. They're really quite stable in terms of the backend services that we're exposed. This is very applications, forecast. And these generally take months or years to decide. What we see now is your consumer base, this any kind of device, no single channel anymore. Consumer base, they're constantly thinking of how can I use this data? What I really like to see how can I make They'll be more efficient with what I'm doing. And they constantly giving you kinds of saying, well, they have these needs, these requirements. And yeah, obviously you have all of these different channels. And in the past, you would have single channels that are exposing these. Now you can see there's multiple different layers of connections that are actually pinging off the different connections. We need that as well. How do we actually get security scaling? But all of a sudden you have to create an application for every kind of medium, or to create one platform that consume all of this for kind of mediums. And essentially what we're doing here is the whole speed of innovation is something we can achieve by using like packaging. Single API management platform, standard interface, standard RESTful APIs that expose the wide the platform security, running your mission critical applications at scale. Still personal marketing or tooling, but this is exactly what it is and how it has to relate to. So here's a practical example. So this is just a practical example to show essentially what happens. So from the user interface point of view, from a web browser, if you go to a web store, I'm sure you've had before, you can see there's a hinge, it's got some screws. There's lots of data on this. This is quite nice. As a consumer, this looks quite simple. But what we don't realize is when we look at this specific interface from the data or the API perspective, where does all the data come from? So now we see that a lot of these different aspects, or these different fields, comes from different systems, different backend systems, content management, third-party microservice. And this is all good and well. Does that mean that for each one of these, we need to then create some complex API that's going to all from the page to APIs that's going to be able to put data into this? How do we actually do this? And this is essentially the whole reasoning behind it. Well, the API should be reflecting the complexity. They should be unaware. They shouldn't have to worry about, let's say tomorrow something changes. How do we make this a simple, straightforward interface for that API to interact? We shouldn't be thinking of that. Which brings me to the next point, which is the application integration. We've spoken a little bit about API management, what the benefits, how does it work, how does it support the API management lifecycle. What I've done from here is in terms of integration. So you can see here we've got SaaS, new innovation tools, and organizations are constantly trying to integrate different things, different ways. I'm not too sure how accurate this is, but it's correct. There's about 500 applications are deployed on average in any large organization. So I think about it, it's possible. And each one of those will probably want to share data with each other in some way or to enrich consumer. So how do we do this? Well, by something we've got what we call application integration. This is a visual integrated design within the platform that actually allows you to create these integrations quite straightforward. For my APIs to consume that can, by means of this plugin play, connect to various different backend sources. Red connector, motor data, red triggers, versatile task on transformation. I want to transform the data. I want to be able to set up an email alert or create a trigger based on this with the data. And it's cloud information as well. So this is really great for scalability, for security, and it forms part of the whole platform. Where does it sit? This is just essentially to show you. So we've got application management, which covers the sort of northbound, if you want to say that, communications with my consumers, all the policy, all the security, everything sits there, the development, all of the monetization. In front of my consumers, to integrate to my backends, however, we're looking at application. But then create this integration layer, and we can point out API management to specific triggers or integrations. And that's really good. Look up purpose, whatever the symbol is. Simple. What does it look like? Where does it come from? This is new technology. It's a neutral, not at all. So this is something that has been built by Google over one long period of time. They've been using it internally. And at some point, this is really great tech. We should expose this to our customers, give them the ability to actually do this well. It's focused on various different roles within the organization. And you can see it's sort of low drag and drop capability, create a trigger, put some parameters in, and you can really create some complex and comprehensive integration. I think in your presentation, you also touched on the going to the interface and show how it actually looks. Some of the components, just really shortly, just to touch on these. Essentially, we've got the integrations and lots of node connectors already exist for standard. It's Salesforce or the design is really low. The deployments you can do manually or by kinds of just deployments via that. And one of the other key things that we haven't touched on is the ability to monitor from operation point of view. So now we can monitor these integrations. You can actually see how long these jobs are running, what are they doing, which ones are failing, which ones are stalled, and move forward with that as well. All right, so just in closing, I just want to give you a sort of a real world example. It was very so often, I think, the context is lost in terms of what does it look like when these integrations actually work. So what we have is the customer places to order on the phone by app, and it said they're ordering a hinge. Slide. And that specific application, then that API triggers the integration flow. Specific integration flow is going to look at various different aspects of what's the order details. Is there stock? Delivery options? There's a whole bunch of different ones. The information number is generated and shared with the customer. If the order has been successful, it says correct order has been placed, and that is then sent to our customer via an estimation, email, whatever the integration channel for that to be. And then lastly, the process order is sent to the simple process. So then the whole rest of that specific process is then kicked off and followed through that order process. So really straightforward integration if you want to simplify it to that extent.
So we're going to talk about something very interesting. We are going to talk about AI, how AI, particularly Gen AI, is changing the game in FPG. It's like imagine a smart assistant with you on your side who can make the technical concepts very clear to you. Right? That's what Duet AI does in FPG. So Duet AI, with Duet AI, you should be able to, it makes everything simple, APG very simple and makes it very user friendly. You can do things like creation of API specification in a matter of seconds with some simple prompts. Right? I'm sure that you all are familiar with what prompts is. You must have used ChatGPT and Google, etc. Right? So we have a similar interface here. We should be able to create the API specifications, integrations, and convert them to LLM extension in a matter of seconds with some simple prompts. Right. So before I go there with the demonstration, I'd like you guys to take a quick forward. If you can scan and register your answers. It helps us understand the expectation from AI in FPG. So the question is, which of these aspect AI assisted features would you find most transformative for your API development? Auto-creating APIs from simple description, AI-driven error detection and correction APIs, simplifying complex API integrations with AI guidance, and generation and testing of API documentation and automatically. So let's give a minute to see the answers. Okay. Yeah, I see a lot of interest in auto creation of APIs and simple descriptions. So yeah, let's directly dive into that. We, as Google partners, we strongly believe in the fact that APG and any APM tool needs accelerated with Gen AI. That's why we are, I mean, Google is continuing to work in developing more capabilities that will to enhance the security, scalability, and other factors. Right. So we'll take a small fictional company. We'll start a fictional company called Cloud9 Co. To explain these features. Cloud9 is a coffee bean company, local coffee bean company, who's trying to expand their business nationwide. As they try to expand, they want to embark on the digital transformation journey and take the orders online. I mean, so far they've been taking orders through paper and fax, but now they want to have a digital transformation and accept the orders online and have some kind of a chat interface so that the users or the partners can conversationally interact with the system to place the request and orders. So the first problem statement, John is an API developer. He starts with creation of API that will accept the orders. So I'll just have a screenshot here. As you can see in the Cloud Code platform, it's just a matter of giving that prompt, right? Accept purchase orders for the specialized coffee beans to Web API. And with the simple prompt, it will be able to create a complete API specification using OpenAPI standard. As you can see, and I have a quick demonstration, a recorded video of the same. I'll just scroll through the same thing for you to be able to understand how things work. As we have in less time rushing the things here. Sorry about that. So here is the cloud code. Sorry, I'm not able to scroll this, so there's no way I can fast forward this. But as you can see from the previous screenshot, right, we can just let the system know what we want with a simple description, and the specification will be created automatically. And we can also create integration out of this API specification using similar prompts, right? And yeah, so here is an example. You see that the complete integration is created with some simple description, and these integrations, I mean, once these are generated, we can always customize it. Let's say we have just given a prompt to extract the purchase order details from the PDF. As you can see, there is this document AI which is extracting the details of the purchase order from the PDF and finally creating the order by contacting the systems like SAP. We can connect with multiple connectors. I mean, it supports a wide range of connectors. We can always customize this workflow once the integration is created. And these integrations, as I said earlier, can also be exported as an LLM extension so that you can connect with ChatGPT or Vertex AI and have that as a plugin in your web application so that the users or the clients or the partners, they can interact. They can just type what they want. Let's say they want to place an order. They can just say they want to place an order, and it will be able to contact the APIs behind that and place the order first. So yeah, so that's how it works quickly. Any questions before I move further?
just a description how maybe the API is created, maybe a template.
This
Because
was,
when you say create order,
yeah.
create an API, how does it know what is my sources? What it should have inputs?
Yeah, so it will create the structure of it, and you know, as you said, as earlier the presenters were mentioning, it is a low code, no code platform. You should be able to customize once the integration is created.
So since say we are in create, it's a basic template to create.
Yes.
Then you have to add all the inputs to define as per your business organization.
Yes. So it will create the basic structure for you with the knowledge it has about your system, and it will definitely require some customization on top of it. That is something that we have to do it as it's a low code, no code platform. We should be able to do it easily.
When you say that we can understand our system, how does it understand? Do we have to create any inputs that my source system? Because, for example, I have multiple applications.
Yes.
My create order is different applications. Maybe procurement or EVs.
Yes.
Okay, how does it understand?
You will just provide the high level information, and as you said, it will be able to create the high level structure of it, right? And it will definitely require some customization on top of it.
I have the honor of concluding today's event. I promise you I will only take 5 more minutes of your time, so it will be a quick one. But nonetheless, I think it is an hour of 5 important minutes, because we are very happy, very excited to first amazing. The guys from Eccentric, they know how to do stuff. That's obviously very clear. Anyway, so we believe that sharing knowledge, especially in a world where IT and technology is moving really fast, is moving really fast. It's important to stay up to speed, and I think there's a very nice saying that goes like, I'm sure most of you know, you can go fast if you go alone, but you can go far if you go together. And with that philosophy, we are very excited to launch the API community, the first local Qatar API community. And you can consider today's event as the first launching one, because what we hope to achieve is a bringing together of API enthusiasts to share knowledge, to share expertise, to help each other overcome challenges that they might have with these, for some people, for a lot of organizations even, a new approach to IT integration. And what you can expect is something similar like today. The masterclass of today is actually a very good example, because especially at the start of the event, of the community, together with Eccentric, in a joint collaboration, we will be driving initiatives, driving meetups of the local people in Qatar, with meetups with industry experts, master classes like today. Also, we have scheduled more hands-on workshops, everything needed to build that, let's call it a collective knowledge base to make sure that the whole of Qatar can benefit from proper API design, development, security usage. Because if there is one thing I hope everybody in this room today appreciates, is the fact that APIs are at the center of a modern IT architecture. I would even go as far as to say that if you want to do digital transformation right, you first need to do your APIs right. So that is why we think it's important to share that knowledge. Now, as a start, we created the LinkedIn group. So if you scan the QR code, that will lead you to that LinkedIn group. You will also see that you are asked to leave some contact details. Now, the reason why is because we are in the preparation of a first lunch meetup sometime in Q1. Now, we haven't figured out the details and the logistics yet because we had this event on our plate, basically. But if you want to join us, if you want to stay in the loop, please leave your details and we make sure that that you are informed throughout the way. All right, that is it. I think I stayed below within my 5 minutes, so I'm. Before I had the microphone back to Basil, I want to express my sincerest gratitude to not only Basil but the whole Eccentric team for setting up this amazing event. Wayne and I were discussing that this was one of the most professionally organized things that we ever were invited to. So my sincerest gratitude, Basil.